The One Piece TCG has recently passed the 1-year mark, as well as the 5-set test, a bit of a cheap indicator of a game's continued success, as most card games fail to make it that long. Not only has One Piece made it through 5 sets, they've made it through absurdly well, becoming a consistent 4th on the top-selling card games, only behind the big 3, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic, and Pokemon. In fact, individual One Piece sets have been outperforming the average set for Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, impressive. This really says a lot more about the decline in quality of these two games than it does with One Piece's success. This video seeks to analyze and review how the One Piece card game has evolved and developed 5 sets in, as well as covering the wacky developments that have appeared on the distribution and financial side of the game. Without further ado, let's get into discussing the power creep and the development of mechanics in the One Piece card game. Since its release, the One Piece meta has seen 2 sizable shifts in power creep. The first jump is from Set 1 into Sets 2 and 3, with the pushing of Red and the absurd release of new staples. And the second jump has been from the Set 2 and 3 format into Set 5, which gives us our first bit of leader power creep after we've fully developed each color identity. All things considered, I feel the power creep in One Piece is okay. Staples transfer over from set to set, strategies get new generic tools very often, and a lot of old leaders are still viable competitively. However, this isn't to say there hasn't been dramatic power creep in the One Piece card game. The 3 meta leaders from OP5, Blue Black Sakazuki, Purple Luffy, and Enel, all start to drive out the previous meta leaders in their colors by being active drivers of their strategies instead of just a flavor. Being a driver is why previous meta decks in the game have been good. Green Eustace, Captain Kidd, Zoro, and Whitebeard are all examples of this. But by pushing the colors of black, yellow, and purple, the entire game has been pushed forward to compensate. Take Sakazuki for example, who, just by being ran as your leader, not only enables and buffs every KO card in black and blue, but it also provides the most hand-fixing and draw power in the game. Compared to the previous options of Smoker and Rob Lucci who only functions as a janky finisher late game, there is no question that the power level in the game has gone up. Alongside this has been an increase in removal options and draw power in general. Yellow now has received 2000 vaults in Kadatsu for initial board control. Purple has received even more ramp, letting them actually make use of their before somewhat hard to access removal, and Sakazuki is entirely based around efficient removal. This has shifted the meta to be entirely around a triad of Sakazuki, Enel, or Katakuri sometimes, and Purple Luffy, with a ton of decks competing for that 4th place spot. I think it is a slightly above average format if you play competitively, but it's definitely a bit harder for rogue decks to handle, since you have to optimize for 3 very different options. The upcoming meta in Set 6 will most likely give Black even more powerful options with the release of the new leader Gecko Moria and even more Navy support. If you count all Black decks together, it will likely be a Tier 0 format, which is kind of, I don't know, it's a bit harsh. Basically, Gecko Moria is able to play absurdly efficiently by recurring resources from the graveyard, effectively turning your graveyard into a second hand. It's pretty unhealthy, but we'll see if people get tired of it. I honestly predict that Fort Carl's Rebecca will end up banned or restricted somehow. Speaking of a ban list, that brings us to our next topic, Bandai's bad management of the One Piece ban list. After Set 2, Bandai released a ban list covering some of the most egregious cards. This would get expanded a bit, but it would do very little to stop an insane red meta in the game that lasted from Set 2 to Set 4. It only ended because Bandai dropped the surprise ban list, hitting an absurd 4 cards from the strategy, bringing the total up to 8 cards restricted or banned for red as a color. This decision was kinda terrible, as it not only came out of nowhere, but it also hit a ton of cards getting reprints. I'm talking about in premium special order products, in main sets as a special rarity, and even in a starter deck. The hits also went quite a bit over the line, and overdid it, including hitting a generic searcher for Straw Hats, which is something that every deck just kind of has. The situation led to players being extremely furious with Bandai, even though most people wanted red decks hit in some way. The backlash, and more likely cancelled orders, led to Bandai announcing 2 weeks later that they would revoke the ban list with the release of Set 5, which, of course, hurt people who panic sold their decks. In my opinion, panic selling was stupid, but what can you do? Later, Bandai would surprise people again by revealing that what they meant by revoking the ban list was revoking all cards that were banned on the ban list. Bandai would claim they meant to do this revoke the entire time, despite waiting 2 weeks after the surprise ban list to announce it. Bandai also claims that this was due to the shift in meta with Set 5. However, if this is true, Bandai really messed up. If Bandai had just claimed that this is what they were doing from the start, all of the negative attention the ban list got really wouldn't have been a thing. Despite the chaos caused on the secondary market, the ban list doesn't appear to have negatively impacted sales. Set 5 has sold out completely, as has just about every other One Piece product. I do think it's important to note that the whole fiasco as a whole did show that Bandai was willing to listen to community feedback, even if only in this case. It's something other card game companies have just failed at every opportunity. Following the One Piece card game's repeated success in selling out, Bandai has moved to release more and more products, all of which have sold very well. But they did have some varying different levels of quality. Set 4 has been the first set that's just okay, both financially and in the metagame. It's having some lasting impacts with individual staples, but as a whole, the unique strategies introduced and supported in the set haven't performed that well. This has followed through with how these cards have been perceived on the secondary market, only recently seeing super rares go above $5 now that the set is out of print. Art-wise, this set introduces these gorgeous SP rares, which are high rarity alt arts of older cards. These are great, and the unique styles of art they've shown so far have been great. These SP rares have continued into Set 5, and will be likely continuing forward in the future. In every case, all original art for the game has been fantastic. The most notable products Bandai has been releasing, though, have been this new level of products in between individual packs and full boxes. To this end, Bandai has begun releasing gift collections, double packs, and Gum Fruit collections. Double packs are the best product and easiest to explain. It's a simple 2 packs with an additional Dawn. It's a great pack all around that I really do recommend. Well, that is if you can find it for MSRP around $10. This product, along with every other One Piece card game product, has had this same problem. And it's a shame, because if you can get it, most One Piece product is absurdly good and very quality. Gift collections are a bundle of packs from several sets, with a deck box and some unique promo packs. This is great and I recommend it. Bandai deck boxes are a bit nicer than the Bushiroad equivalent. Unfortunately, this product is just hard to get a hold of. Lastly, we have the only garbage product of the Gum Fruit, which would be entirely forgettable if it weren't for the exclusive Dawn locked to this product. It's a cheap giant plastic model of a Gum Fruit. It can't fit a deck, the plastic molding is bad enough to make it bad for collectors, and lastly, the value you get for the price just isn't worth it. Despite all this, the Gum Fruit collection also sold out. We also have the release of 3 starter decks since Set 3. Starter decks 8 and 9, or Starter Deck Yamato and Starter Deck Black Luffy, are the weakest starter decks to date and haven't done anything competitively. Starter Deck Luffy remains the only starter deck that can still sometimes be found at local game stores. I honestly don't hate the Yamato one, as it's a fun alternative take for a color that really needs a strategy outside of Big Mom and Enel. Even if it's not that good, I recommend it. Starter Deck 10, or the 3 Captains, is the first of a line of new premium starter decks, which means they're all foil, including the Dawn, have 3 leaders instead of 1, come with a deck box, and have an increased MSRP of around $30. Overall, it's a great product. They use the alt art foiling on key cards for the set, and have some great reprints, especially when they're not banned. The increased price tag is actually fine in this case, as it's justified for what you're getting. Although do note, this deck still only gives you 2 copies of the key cards, so you still have to buy 2. Bandai has still been releasing premium products through their premium Bandai. Just for reference, Wizards of the Coast, this is how you should do Secret Lairs. 12 cards all foils for $30, with meaningful reprints. Not 5 mechanically unique cards non-foiled for $40. This brings us to the release of Set 5 of One Piece. Today, this is the most successful set of One Piece, maybe tied with the first set. It's the first major meta shift since OP2, and has a ton of new cool support for every color. Plus, it sold out almost immediately. There's something funny going on here. For some reason, the ordered numbers of Set 5 by game stores was cut. We don't know the exact details, but it was promised that the cut orders would be sent out later. This led to a ton of stores not being able to fulfill pre-orders, and most stores not having any extras to sell regularly. Why this happened is a whole nother conversation entirely. Bandai is rumored to have cut distribution to local game stores to make room for Target, Walmart, and other big box retailers. It does seem that these stores got their expected orders, but I really can't prove or disprove this theory, so take it with a big grain of salt. Another theory is that Bandai is cutting down on One Piece printing to make room for their new upcoming card games, such as the Dragon Ball card game reboot and the new Union Arena. This theory doesn't make sense, since the timing doesn't work out, and One Piece is just so successful. The last and most likely theory, in my opinion, is artificial from Konami. Force of habit. The last and most likely theory, in my opinion, is that all of the scarcity around One Piece's product releases is artificial from Bandai's side to drive sales, similar to Nintendo with Amiibos or with Beanie Babies. Card games have a massive scalper culture already, and scalpers have played dead into Bandai's hand, leaving the market as a whole to be absurdly inflated. Man, the One Piece card game has been the most absurdly inflated thing I've ever seen. Let me give you some personal examples. Here's an almost max rarity Kinemon deck I bought for fun and for personal collecting for about $650. It's currently valued at around $2K. I bought my Black Core for Sakazuki for around $150 around the time of set 3. I recently sold it for about $600. It's been a similar price increase for every other deck and card in this game. Why is it like this? Well, part of it has to do with the scalper culture mentioned before. There's even a whole Discord dedicated to doing buyouts, just blatantly in the open. But the bigger answers come from how much the game has been growing, and Bandai delaying any potential reprints of sets, thus creating the environment for this to happen in the first place. Older sets, mostly sets 1 through 3, have gone out of print, hard capping the supply in the market. However, new players have joined the game at an unheard of rate, leaving staples from these early sets to spike dramatically, more so with the actually collectible and alt art cards. These prices went even higher with the announcement of an extra booster pack entirely based around older strategies. Side note here, this side set is the most hyped I've ever been for a product in this game. I'm likely ordering a case. It's a great move from Bandai and does so much for the health of the game and making sure every deck can get support. Bandai has claimed that they will be reprinting sets 1 and 2 at some point, but they've been extremely vague as to when that is. Bandai has just been vague on everything. My local game store doesn't know how many copies of the Uda starter deck they're getting yet, so they can't do pre-orders. The starter deck is releasing in less than a month, and it's just a terrible practice from Bandai. The market has gone into overdrive, and it's inflated the price to play the game to be around $300 to $600 per deck. The big three this format, Enel, Sakazuki, and Purple Luffy, all go for about $500. It's insane since last format the price of the average deck was about $150, with only a few exceptions. Unlike in Yu-Gi-Oh!, cards don't need to be reprinted to fix the incredibly awful rarity system created by Konami. Unlike in Magic, cards don't need to be reprinted because they're stupid old. In One Piece, cards need to be reprinted because they were never enough printed in the first place. The problem gets even more out of hand with the starter decks. What should be an introductory product now gatekeeps new players from the game by containing absurdly expensive out-of-print staples. If you want to play Purple Luffy, you need 4 copies of $45 Queen, which can only be obtained from the $100 starter deck 4, which retailed for about $15 originally. It's a similar story with starter decks 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and it's likely going to be a problem in the future for starter deck 10. Bandai needs to reprint sets and starter decks if they want this game to be played by people other than scalpers. I think Bandai's failures here go in stark contrast to what One Piece as a series is about, but that is a really cheap shot. For those of you who have seen my last One Piece game review, you know that my biggest complaint at the time was about the exclusive promo cards, cards with unique effects that can only be obtained by going to events. Mechanically unique promo cards are terrible for the game, as they needlessly drive up deck prices, are actively made inaccessible to most players, and incentivize scalpers to spam enter into as many events as possible. Well, I'm here to report that promo exclusive cards haven't really gotten that much better. First of all the older promo cards are still expensive despite not being anywhere near as meta relevant. The newest wave of expensive promos have been from the promo pack given out at sealed draft events. These events were limited to usually 8 players, and gave out prize packs that gave you 2 out of 8 exclusive promos. Needless to say, barely anyone got these, and the cards in them went to the moon. Blue Luffy Leader is around $100, Removal Luffy, which is a very important tech card in a ton of Rogue Blue decks, is around $80. The other cards from this pack are around $30 to $60 as well. Blue should have been a budget color this format, but with these packs, it joins the ranks of the most expensive meta decks. Your only other option to get them was to order live-action variant arts directly from Bandai Premium. Now, Bandai is so insistent on the promo system because it works very well, or at least better in Japan, where there are more events, more casual players, and more product. It's a disaster in the West, and I wish Bandai would understand and only do alternative arts as promos. As demonstrated by my almost max-rated Kinemon deck, I do not mind expensive promos, just make sure they're alt arts and not unique cards. In the future, we have 2 new problematic promos releasing soon. Instead of putting the cards in a starter deck, Bandai is releasing 8 exclusive cards for the starter deck UDA strategy as promos for a series of special starter deck only events. If these events are handled like the sealed battle events, the only budget deck in the game will be out of the reach of most players. I have heard that you are going to get each promo for entering the event, but it's really player cap that's the issue. We're also likely to get a new event promo in Yellow Zoro. It's got a very strong trigger effect, and will likely be a 4 of in most yellow decks. It's going to be even more necessary and more meta than promo Jinban Bartolomeo released before, since those were $100. As a yellow player, I live in fear for what Bandai will do to my wallet. To summarize, Bandai, as your friend and long-term fan, please stop printing mechanically unique cards as promos. It would be better for the community as a whole if you just made them alt arts. Events still have the problem of being too hard to get into. The most recent wave of webcam events filled up 500 spots in about 4 minutes. If you have a job or a family and can't make time to stalk the sign-up list, you're not welcome in the One Piece card game, according to Bandai. And this is a massive shame, because events are very fun to go to. I've only been able to get into one regional so far, and it was an absolute blast. The community was amazing, the games were fun, and the pricing was great. It's just a shame that no one can get in. I know there are a ton of players who would otherwise be interested, but don't even try to get into them, because they know it's so rough to get into. For comparison, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has 4 to 5 regionals per year in Houston, Texas alone, and One Piece has 3 to 4 regionals in Texas each year, also usually with a lower player cap. The worst of the worst for Bandai events has been with the sealed product events and the first anniversary tournament. The sealed events forced local game stores to limit it to only 8 players. Most local tournaments usually run at least 16 players or higher. Imagine getting kicked out of your local tournament one week because Bandai told you to go fuck yourself. The first anniversary event also left stores in limbo. It replaced Set 5's pre-release event and also had a reduced player cap of 16 instead of the usual 32. Most players I know either didn't play for those weeks the event was running, or mass signed up for as many events as possible to collect the promos to resell them. I can't even blame them. It was a $10 entry that gave a $40 or $20 Dawn, some miscellaneous first anniversary stamped cards, and a shot at first place, which gave you a $300 prize card. The event was great, but Bandai just needed to expand the player cap to let both the local community and the outside players traveling around to participate. It doesn't make sense to me that when One Piece as a game would be growing, Bandai would be shrinking events. Something's fishy. This is either actively malicious from Bandai, or the biggest case of corporate stupidity that I've seen since every other card game company. Oh my god, I need a new hobby. The 2 big sets in the future are both extremely promising. Extra Booster 1, as mentioned before, is my favorite product they've ever released. Set 6, on the other, seems to be a repeat of what Set 3 was to Set 2. By this I mean the already massive strength of the color black will be getting an absurd power boost into the game. It's Whitebeard all over again, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Overall, I do have a lot of complaints and I do give this game quite a bit of grief, but that doesn't change how bright this game's future can be. Plus, I absolutely love the mechanics and the community. It just needs Bandai not to drop the ball like they did with the Naruto card game, the Dragon Ball Super card game, the Digimon card game, the original Dragon Ball card game, or Battle Spirit Saga twice. Wow, the energy just got real dark there for a second, but back to the point. One Piece is a great game that I do recommend you play. Maybe not for its current price tag, if it's outside your budget, but it's worth your time to try out. There's a free online simulator that I'll link the Discord to in the description. I can't do it too directly, thanks Bandai, but I love the game and I've only stuck around because of how much better it's been than other games. Bandai, despite its flaws, is giving the consumers a good product. The problem of needing more events and products aren't the worst products to have. Plus, they can be fixed and aren't fundamental to the game itself. I look forward to where the One Piece card game will go, and I'll most likely be sticking around for a while yet. Alright, and that's all. If you like this video, please subscribe. I really enjoy talking about my thoughts on the state of card games, so there's a ton of cool stuff in the works. Plus, I got great deck profiles along the way as well. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.